Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MoPod, brought to you by Modate, where we discuss everything Mo, from modern orthodoxy to my opinions and more. I'm your host, Evan Harris, and we have a great guest for you today. Let's get to it. Today, we're sitting down with Dr. Jonathan Donath. How are you doing, Jonathan?
I'm great, Evan. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you for coming on the podcast. Just want to start off by getting right into it. You started an organization called Daily Giving. What is Daily Giving, and how did you come up with this idea?
First, I want to be your first guest to wish you a congratulations and mazel tov on your engagement.
Thank you.
I don't know when this is going to go live, but Evan just got engaged. I hope that's public information.
Yeah.
But congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, this is gonna go live on Tuesday, right before Pesach. So it works
Amazing.
out. Yeah, you will be the first on the podcast to do so.
Okay, great. Well, listen, good luck. It's very exciting.
Yes, thanks so much.
Okay, what was your question? I'm sorry.
So, what is daily giving, and how did you come up with the idea?
Okay, so I guess I'll just start with the idea because that'll lead into it nicely, I think. One day, about 5 years ago, I was in my had just listened to a class on how even small mitzvahs matter, and I went into my local Marav minyan in my local synagogue, and I put $1 in the tzedakah box like we always do when we're in shul, and this like just this I had this epiphany moment that no matter how much money I give to charity, I still get a mitzvah for this $1. And I sometimes as we're speaking right now and it's dark outside and like I don't always finish work in time to go to shul and so I was like, how can I guarantee myself this mitzvah of giving charity every single day, no matter what? That was the idea that popped into my head. I remember as a kid, my mother always giving me a penny or a nickel to bring to school, put in the tzedakah box as a kid. I was like, you know what? Why did we lose that? We do so many things daily in Judaism, but like I don't know about you, but it's never been stressed. Like we should really give tzedakah every day. And so that was the idea that popped in my head. So I ran home. I remember being so excited, like thinking about it, trying to concentrate on davening, but also thinking about this idea that was like in my head. And I went home and I was Googling, like going through or just trying to figure out, is there a Jewish organization that's trying to automate daily giving? I could not find anything. Of course, any organization will take your money $30 a month and say, we'll take $1 a day, but that's different, right? So I called up my website guy and I told him the idea, and he liked the idea. And I asked if he could build me a website. He said sure. And then we were off and running. I talked to some of my other friends, and we figured out how to become a 501c3 nonprofit, and we built the website. And so that was like the middle to end of 2018. And then we went live with the website on January 1st, 2019. And the idea basically is we automated this platform to try to get Jews from around the world to give $1 of charity together every single day. And every single day, we give the entire amount of charity to a different incredible Jewish nonprofit from around the world. And it's like a diversified portfolio of nonprofits. So we give to poverty organizations, and we give to cancer organizations and special needs organizations, and we help with substance abuse and mental health and domestic violence and things having to do with death and couples struggling with infertility. And it's like this awesome way that for $1 a day, not only are you getting a mitzvah every day, but no matter how wealthy you are, you just can't possibly help everyone, right? But
Yeah.
with daily giving, we figure out a way where you feel like, wow, I have like a piece of everything. I literally get to give to this, a category, every different type of category there is possibly you could have. I think almost we have it covered in daily giving. So it's been pretty amazing.
Well, yeah, that's definitely awesome that you're doing that, and how far it's come since that thought. Also, just very cool flex that you had a pre-existing website guy. I think that's definitely a cool fact that you threw in there. And
That's funny. Like I've been interviewed a lot. No one's ever said that. I didn't even think of that as a flex, right? But shout out to Shaul Ken. Everyone needs a website guy, you call me. He's the best.
for sure. Yeah, I have a t-shirts guy, so maybe one day I'll also have
Okay,
a website.
good to
I
know.
mean, I also kind of have a website guy, but just I don't call him my website guy, so that's definitely a special thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, so how at the beginning did you get all these different charities on board? How did you prove that you were legit and that they should partner with you? Was there any struggle there?
Sure, there was. I think that at the beginning, one of my first thoughts after the idea, okay, well, how do I only know so many people and I know a lot of people, and we'll talk about how I literally called every one of them and try to get
Hmm.
them to sign up. But besides that, I had this idea that if I could get Rabbi Pesach Krohn to talk about daily giving the way he speaks about Torah anytime, that I could really blow this thing up. That was like my big play. And I remember I got his phone number and I called him, and my heart was beating out of my chest as like he picks up and is like the voice of Torah anytime. And I told him the idea, and he says, "It's a great idea." He's like, "No one's doing it." I said, "Rebbe, no one's doing it." And he was really surprised, and he said, "Okay, I think we need to get a rabbinical council together so that because people don't know who you are, and they need to know that the money's not going to your kid's college fund." And I thought, that's a good point, right? And so we did, and we have to this day it's the same. We asked three other rabbis besides Rabbi Krohn to be on the rabbinical council. They all said yes, including Rabbi Herschel Schechter, who's the Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshiva University, who's a well
Mhm.
respected among Jews of all types. And we asked them, and they were all behind it. And they, to this day, they approve all the charities. So we vet them very carefully. Once we go through the whole vetting process and we decide and they're approved, our final step is we go to the rabbis and make sure that they're okay and we answer their questions. And there have been times where they didn't approve a charity and we didn't put it on. So
Gotcha.
that's to answer your question. That's kind of how we make sure that we have that they're approved and they're legitimate. In terms of, you asked another good question that has never been asked to me, is like, was that difficult to get the organizations on board? And so on the one hand, no, anyone will take your free money. We're just giving out free money. Daily
Yeah.
giving doesn't take a penny. Every dollar that comes into daily giving, 100 cents of that dollar, when people sign up for $1 a day, goes to the organizations. So we're not taking anything; it's going to them. So they were happy to receive the checks. I would say some didn't ever thank us or say anything. We're just sending checks to them. But as I reached out to them and I wanted them to partner with us, that was where the challenge was, right?
Mhm.
Like, because at that time we're giving $80 a day, $100 a day. And so we started with 36 organizations. So we gave a different organization every single day. And then every 36 days, we repeated it again. So at the beginning, they were getting almost 12 times a year, but it was a very small amount of money. Now we're giving over $14,100 a day, every day. So we're giving out over $5.1 million a year. So that
Wow.
has much more attention. Like last year, we gave over $60,000 to 58 different organizations.
Got it.
Like
And
that's
is there a cap on the number of organizations that you're willing to include in 1 year,
um,
let's say?
the cap. There's no cap, but we're very deliberate. Meaning we want to have a meaningful impact, right? If we were to give 365, there are 365 phenomenal Jewish organizations. There are way more, right? So if we were to give a different organization every day and not repeat at all, just go once every 365 days, and we gave $14,000 plus to that organization once a year, $14,000 is a nice chunk of money. It's not nothing, but it doesn't like move the needle, right? It doesn't allow you to like start a new program or like really have impact for most organizations. But $60,000, you can have a serious impact. I'll just give you one story that one of the organizations called NASC, National Association for Chevra Kadisha, right? So rabbis all over the world call NASC when they have issues having to do with death, right? And it's really an incredible organization. So Rabbi Zone, who's the head of NASC, told me that by the time Daily Giving started giving him $40,000, remember, as we gained, we added more organizations, but we still were giving more and more money because we grew and grew and grow. Back to your question, so we don't add till we have enough money that we're not diluting by too much, right? So each
Got it.
year we're still giving them more and more and more, despite adding more organizations because we're growing. Okay,
Got it.
but he told me that there was another sub organization that he wanted to start called Last Kindness. And what they do is they basically, it's pretty amazing, is their whole mission is to get unaffiliated Jews not to cremate their relatives
Mhm.
by marketing, advertising, whatever they're doing. They're putting out content out there to get out to the general public, just like Aish is trying to get to every Jew across the world and get three. I think the goal of Aish 2030 is to get 3 million Jews engaged in Jewish wisdom by 2030, right? So Last Kindness, I don't know if they have a number on it, right? They're trying to get that same thing, like get the content out there, get people not to cremate their relatives, right?
Mhm.
And he said that was literally, he wanted to start that for years, but only got the confidence to start it when Daily Giving was giving $40,000 and allowed him to hire a full-time person to do that.
Wow, that's amazing. So you mentioned that no one has ever asked you the question before about getting people to take your money, but what about, I mean, people have definitely asked the question, what about getting the givers? How was that process getting people to start donating on Daily Giving, the concept of $1 a day, people giving more or less. I can't give less, right? But giving more than that. How did that go?
Yeah, 92% of our givers give $1 a day, and 8% give two or more. A lot of people sign up for $1 for everyone in their family, which is really special. I know that my kids are old enough where my kids get I didn't tell you, like, one of the greatest things is that we send out a daily email. So my kids get this daily email. The email, some people might cringe and go, "Oh, I love the idea, but I don't want a daily email. I get enough email." We're all inundated with emails, right?
Yeah.
We're all inundated. But the feedback we get about this email that we send out is so positive that people are so excited that every day they email, and the email tells them, "Thank you for your donation. Today, your dollar was one of 14,147 that went today was Bone Olam," right? An incredible organization that helps couples that are struggling with infertility in a lot of different ways, not just, they're a wide, and listen, and then a video about the organization. Like, so every day we feature the organization. It's not just the money we're giving. You get to see how much we're giving them, and you get to read a blurb about them, and then you can watch a video about them. And it's just amazing. And so my kids learn about it. So like a Shabbos doesn't go by where at the table we're discussing one of the organizations, and like they learned about a new organization, or they didn't even know a problem existed that Jews have figured out a way to help. Right. That's,
Mhm.
that's what we're doing. So that's another like sub thing we're helping the world, is that we are introducing incredible nonprofits that you or other people have never even heard of, that you're going to read it and go, like, mind blowing. You're like, wow, I cannot believe there's a Jewish organization to help that. There's an organization that, if God forbid parents are killed in a car accident and the kids are orphans, they'll pay for their children's weddings. Or if a husband dies and he didn't have enough life insurance, they'll pay for 6 months for the mortgage or the rent to just help them till they get to the next stage of, until the life insurance gets paid or something. Like, there's some amazing, just amazing things
Yeah.
that Jews are doing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those I would never have even imagined. And so to just take a step back for a second, let's talk about you, your background, where you're from. And I mean, I did some preliminary research as every podcast host should. And you are a practicing chiropractor right now, is that correct?
I am. I am. I am. That's what I don't get paid for daily giving. Daily giving doesn't, like I said, doesn't take a penny. We do have some paid staff, and we fundraise their salaries and all our marketing. If you see us online or something, you go, well, I don't understand. Is this why I'm giving $1 a day? Is this going to market on Facebook and Instagram? No, we fundraise all marketing and all salaries separately. And so yeah, I'm a full-time chiropractor, and I specialize in very serious herniated discs and sports injuries, and I treat people from all over the world, and it's a very, very rewarding job. I'm good at getting people out of pain.
So it takes a special type of person to just one day come up with an idea and then kind of sounds like instantaneously do it and make it work. And obviously kudos to you on accomplishing that. Do you think there's anything from your background that you could point to or any correlation at all with being a chiropractor that kind of got you to where you are with daily giving?
I love that you asked that question. Thank you for your kind words, first of all. Also, I will tell you that it didn't just happen. It might seem instantaneous. It's taken 4.5 years to get over 14,000 Jews to join. There's
Mhm.
14,000 Jews from 39 countries that give $1 a day. Um, and I honestly, people say to me like, "Oh, it's amazing. This is incredible. Like, are you happy?" I'm like, did you ever in your wildest imagination think you'd have 14,000 people? I'm like, yes, I thought we'd have 14,000 people in the first month. Um, and it's been a rude awakening of how hard it is to get people to take their credit cards out, just sign up. Because literally it takes under a minute. Like under a minute, you could sign up. And that's it. You guarantee, like, I've never said this, so I don't know if your listeners will appreciate it or not. But like I said to my friend, I said, if I told you I'd give you $1,000 to, the example I brought him was tefillin, but it could be like Shabbos. Like if I told you I give you $1,000 to break, to drive on Shabbos, would you do it? He's like, of course not. I was like, what about 10,000? Like, no, I wouldn't do it. I was like, 100,000? No. I was like, 1,000,000? He's like, no. I said, okay, so you're basically valuing a mitzvah as at least $1,000,000, right?
Mhm.
So we figured out a way to guarantee yourself a mitzvah every single day for $1. And it's going to take zero time and no effort on your part. And you get to do it with your brothers and sisters from all over the world. And you get to have literally impact the lives of millions of Jews. Is that the biggest no-brainer you've ever heard? But for some reason, even though people hear that and people are like, wow, that's a good idea, we just don't act right away. And if we don't act right away, if like your listeners hear this and think, I'm hoping that something I say will inspire them to take out their credit card and take 1 minute and sign up, right? But even if they love it, if they don't do it right now, we've seen this over and over and over again. Sometimes people have to hear about it 3 times, 4 times, 8 times before they like actually stop and take action. And so that's why it's taken us so long. And that's why we're at 14,000, unfortunately not at 114,000. But to answer your question, because I think it was a good one, is that I think that in retrospect, I think that all my training, not just not as a chiropractor per se, but because chiropractic is, I don't want to say the word controversial, but we'll just say I come from a family of all medical doctors, right? And I remember when I wanted to go to chiropractic school, some of my uncles who are medical doctors, one in particular was like, you know, wasn't so, let's just say wasn't so pro about it, right?
Yeah.
Happens to be like now my practice was bought by a regenerative medicine practice. All my partners are medical doctors. I treat over 75 medical doctors. Like it's very unusual. Most doctors say don't go to chiropractors. I treat a lot of doctors. Right? So, but back to your question, I went off on a tangent, is that I got used to hearing no, right? It was difficult. I built my practice from scratch. I would go and meet with doctors and tell them what I do and encourage them to try me out with your hard cases instead of just giving them medicine, like before sending them for surgery, just before you send them for back surgery or neck surgery, just send them to me, like give me a shot. Right.
Mhm.
And then it was difficult and I get a lot of no's and a lot of no's, but then like once in a while you get a yes and you could develop a relationship with one doctor, start sending you patients. That could be all you need. Like, I remember there were certain times in my career where a doctor came and I saw him and he started sending me more patients. I know what to do it. So in retrospect, that training to understand the resilience of like, it's okay to hear no, right? And be persistent. And I think one of my greatest qualities is persistence. And there was a lot of days at the beginning of daily giving where it was so frustrating. It was so hard. And I was like, I don't want to say I was ever ready to give up. I don't know if I ever got to the point where I thought of giving up, but it was a struggle. And it was like, is this ever going to take off? And every night, if I try to get at least one person to join every day. So if it was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night and I didn't get someone yet, I would take out my phone and I would like call someone and I would tell them about it. And they're like, okay, that sounds nice. I'm like, I need a small favor. Can you just sign up right now? And like, if you don't like it after 30 days, stop, you know? But it happened just because last past Shabbos, we sponsored, me and my co-founder Shlomo Ressa, we co-sponsored Kiddush in our shul. We had wanted to sponsor Kiddush when we hit $10,000 a day and it just passed and we didn't have a chance. And so we're like, okay, when we hit $5 million a year, we're going to sponsor Kiddush. So we sponsored Kiddush. And someone came up to me in our shul this week and he said, I don't know if you remember, but you called me at 11:40 one night. And that's when I signed up because you said I need to get someone today. Right. So I think that back to, to your questions, I think, yeah, that persistence, that like stick-to-itiveness is one of my greatest qualities. And I think that did come from my career as a chiropractor.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And I think that in many ways, on a much smaller scale, I definitely relate to what you're saying, just because we didn't really discuss this so much off platform, but I started a dating platform and it's totally free. And
What's it
basically
called?
it's called Modate, MODATE, like modern Orthodox dating. And at the beginning, I was trying to automate this system of getting set up by friends. I felt like people from my circles didn't love going to Shadchanim because they felt it was for people who were more from, didn't love the dating apps because they felt it was for people who were less from. And so they were comfortable with getting set up by friends. However, a lot of your friends, and friends aren't automatically thinking about you all the time, kind of just like charity. Like once in a while you give, let's say. And so this was a way to kind of automate that system with an algorithm. And we're always tweaking the process. And I have that same thing where I tell people about it and they are excited about it. But if they didn't sign up that day, I know it's just not happening. Or if they didn't put effort in that day, I know it's just not happening because people get busy with other things. It's all about priorities. So I definitely relate to what you're saying and hear what you're saying. And just to get back into the charity aspect, I looked up some statistics in the last hour, which were pretty interesting, and wondering if you know these stats. So, what percentage of Americans do you think give charity every year?
Wow. And I'm sure it's lower than we could think. That's what my guess is. It's lower than everything.
I
I'll say, you mean any charity? If someone gives $1, that qualifies?
I mean, this is according to a Lending Tree study that I think only surveyed like 2,000 people in 2021, but I mean, they considered that a significant enough sample size to publish these results, so I think we should too.
Okay, fine. 35%.
So the answer was 56%.
Okay, okay.
And
I was thinking about giving people more credit and going around that number, but then I was like, realistically, I thought it was less. So I'm glad to hear that. But I bet the number though, the actual dollar amounts that most people give is incredibly low though.
the average per year that I saw in that study was $574 a year. Obviously, you got outliers, whatever it is. But it's interesting also in a different study from another source, the majority of charitable dollars went to religious organizations. And so clearly there is this focus in charity on religion, and that religious people tend to give more, or at least people tend to give to religious organizations at a higher rate. And so I'm wondering the concept of Maser, right? So obviously a concept that most people know about in our circles, but I don't know if it's something that most people practice. Do you think that do you think that people are giving Maser today in America? Jews in America are giving Maser like actually 10% of their take home income? And B, have you had any challenges maybe with people who have their set ways of charity because they do give Maser, let's say, and so they don't want to add any extra stuff going on. They don't want to give to organizations that they've never heard of. Have you ever had backlash like that?
Yeah, so let's address your first question first about giving 10%. I think that again, the number is much, much lower than you would think, and it should be in our world. I think
Mm-hmm.
that I've met so many philanthropic people in the last 4.5 years doing this. Like, just like sometimes I'm just blown away at the charitable giving that is in our community, and it can be mind-blowingly positive. So I'm going to start with that. Like, and there's so many people who are so careful about this that literally have separate accounts that when they get paid, the 10% goes into another account, and that's their charity account. And so many people do that. People have their own daily giving. We see it, like they have their own charity debit cards. Sometimes they fail because they haven't, like, it's not hooked up, and like literally it's giving, and then like, oh, my charity account went to zero. I'm sorry, daily giving. I'm sorry that it didn't work out, and they have to fix it. And so you see that incredible amount there. And so there is so much of that. But we're also dealing with people who are givers in daily giving, right?
Yeah.
I think that you're unfortunately, I think the answer is, I think that there are so many people that don't give 10%. Because look, let's be honest, it's so difficult, right? We have our tuitions are for yeshivas are so expensive, and our camps are so expensive, and our shul dues are so expensive, and like there's only so much. It's our lifestyles are so over the top, not because we necessarily live over the top, just because it costs so much to be an Orthodox Jew. And so it's very difficult. So I do think a lot of people think, well, like my miser is my tuition and my shul payments and my camp. And I think that it is, people do struggle to give more than that. So I think it is a big, big, big problem. Not everyone. There's a lot of amazing givers, but I do think, back to your question, I do think, yes, there's a lot of people not giving 10%. And one of the great things I think with daily giving, I mean, actually, I remember one of those phone calls. This is going back to one of those 11 o'clock phone calls, calling a
Yep.
friend to get them to sign up. And I called my friend. I won't say his name. I thought about saying his name, but he's a very successful lawyer in Teaneck. And he said, listen, John, I think what you're doing is great, but I give a lot of money, way more than 10%. But it bothers me so much that there's so many people who don't give, right? And he actually, and his first instinct was like, it actually is like, I think people are going to sign up for daily giving for $1 a day and think, oh, I'm Yotze. I'm giving now. I'm a giver because I give $1 a day and I'm giving $365 a year. And that actually bothered him. Then I told him about my kids giving. I give $1 a day for my kids. And he loved that idea so much that he signed up for $6 a day for everyone in his family. And ever since then, he's been a massive supporter, and he got all his family, his aunts, uncles, and so people to sign up. And he's a huge fan. But to your point, right? Like there's a lot of people not giving. And I think one of the things we are doing is when you start giving, you become more of a giver. Like, I know for me, like, I have my own practice, and it's all, it's all on me to provide for my family. No one's putting retirement money away from me. No one's putting college money for me. I have to provide all that. So at the end of the day, after all those and all of my bills, I have to have that left quote quote leftover money. There's never leftover money, right? Like, so it's hard to give. And actually, I definitely see myself how much daily giving has made me, and it's been easier and easier for me to give as I gave more, as I gave more regularly, as I see that when you give, God gives back to you, right? And like, it's hard to imagine that, but like every time I wrote like the biggest check I've ever written, I have the best month I've ever had in my practice, like every time. And then you think like, why don't I just give more and I'll keep doing it? But like human nature, it's a struggle, right? So I hope I answered that question. You had a second part of that question.
I think you covered basically everything that we were talking about there. And so you mentioned a lot of the expenses that go on with being an Orthodox Jew. And so Pesach is coming up, right? I looked up some costs of various Pesach programs in the US. And just to name drop some, you got leisure time tours at the PGA National Resort and Spa in Palm Beach, which will be between $6,250 and $9,500 a person. Leisure time tours at a place in New Jersey, $46.85 to $67.95 a person. Costa Rica at PGA National Resort and Spa in Palm Beach, again, $6,250 to $9,500 a person. I guess that's the same place, but just different program.
Right.
And so that's per person, right? So if you have a family of whatever it is, 5 people, you could get upwards of like 40K in there if it's the higher end. And
Yeah.
so there are these things that are super expensive, but there's also this pressure from various communities to do them, right? Like if you have kids that see their friends are going on these Pesach programs, then they might put some pressure on you to go on these Pesach programs. And there's just a lot of pressure that goes on with charity in general. There's this idea of haughtiness that could be seen in philanthropy, people that are giving to show off that they have a lot of money. And also on the flip side of that, there could be people that don't have enough money that get turned off by charity because of those people that are showing off. And they think charity might just be all one big show. So I'm just wondering from your perspective, have you seen any trends specifically in the communities, you deal with, that people are giving for the wrong reasons, or people are pressured to do these other things which might cause them not to give? Just any stories you have along those lines.
So I personally have not been involved where I feel like people are using philanthropy to show off for others. Like, frankly, that's the greatest way. If you know what, better to, better to buy, to give an extra $25,000 because that's going to, show off to your friend than spend 100 grand on a car because you need that. So like, so to me, like, if you want to show off, if that even exists, like, I welcome that to my charity, right? Like,
Yeah.
like, come help us, get hundreds and hundreds and thousands of more people to sign for Lady Giving because you want to show off to your friends, right? So I don't personally, I can't imagine. Does it exist? I'm sure, right? Like I was at a United Solid Gala event last year where like literally Ellie Beer went around the room and like he's like, okay, and then like the person at my table across the table, she donated $350,000 for like 2 ambulances, right? And then other people, then he's like walking around, like, okay, I'll give an ambucycle, like just like literally you could tell it was like off like a whim, like a $36,000 ambucycle, right? So does it exist in that situation? Like I'm sure, right? But that's what that's using human nature in a good way. That doesn't bother me at all, right? I would feel bad. I've never felt pressure. I've never gone away for a Pesach program. I have lots of friends that go. I've never felt pressured. Do my kids wish they went? Maybe because a lot of the friends go. I don't know. I mean, it just I've never felt pressure. I live in White Plains, New York. It's a very modest community, and I like one of the reasons I like it is just not very materialistic, and so I think it depends where you live, and some people like you live in an area where everyone goes away, and you don't. Then that might be more pressure, and it's sad, but it is exorbitantly expensive to go away for a Pesach program. Like you gave those numbers, and a lot of times they go with like whole families. Like a grandfather will take like all his kids and grandchildren. There's a group of 40 going together, and like they're dropping like 200 grand. And so I guess maybe the question you should be asking is, do you think that people should be spending 200 grand to go away for 8 days versus like giving that to charity? And I would say that, you know what, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt that I think a lot of people do give a lot of charity. right? Like the people with like serious wealth, like they really are giving a lot of charity, and I see it, and I see like I see that they are, and so like I feel like, look, if you have the money and you're doing great things with it, you also deserve to, they work very hard for it, and they deserve, certain benefits and certain things like that for them, and that's all good as long as they're giving. Not everyone, they're not all giving, they're not all giving as much as they should, but I think a lot do, and I've seen just very philanthropic people, and so as long as you're giving, like, good, enjoy the high life, right? Like, enjoy it, So I hope I answered
Okay.
your question.
Yeah, definitely good answer. I mean, on both accounts, I think that if you have bad intentions, but you're doing a good thing, better than to have bad intentions and doing a bad thing.
I don't
And
think there's any
yeah,
bad. I don't think there's. Oh, you mean like, yeah, right, right, exactly, with the philanthropy. But like,
what,
I think that it's interesting you brought that example. What we thought to ourselves, how can we get into these Pesach programs and say like, can you push daily giving, right? Can we be like a partner and try, like, all these people spent tens of, not hundreds of $1,000s to be there? Can we get them all? Can we partner with you somehow and get daily giving as like the charity where you push it a couple times during the 8 days and get people to like do something great from it? That's something, just an idea we have, but we haven't executed it yet.
yeah, for sure. I mean, you still have like a week and a half, so let's see what happens. And
Yeah.
so from your perspective, you obviously are a go-getter and you don't seem too impressed at the fact that you got 14,000 people to join daily giving, even though it's a large number, especially when you're factoring in the point that it's I mean, I don't know this for sure, but I'm guessing it's all Jews. And
I mean, like, I had a non-Jewish patient today. He's helping.
okay.
He's a giver. He loved it. He signed up and he loves being a part of it. I've had other non-Jews patients sign up, but yeah, I'm sure it's 99.9% Jewish.
Yeah, so it's definitely a big number, even if you're going to say that you expect it in the first month. But I'm wondering, how do you stay motivated? What's your driving factor?
So first of all, I just want to correct you. First of all, it's not me. I did not get 14,000 people. I have a team around me. I have amazing staff. I have amazing volunteers. There's philanthropists who have written really big checks to Daily Giving to help us do marketing and get those people to sign up and get it out there. So yeah, it's great to be on a podcast that costs us nothing. And I talk, and hopefully you have, tens of thousands of listeners, Evan, that are going to sign up tonight, right? But it's a lot of people. It's taken a lot. It's taken a village, and it continues. And our team, and we run like a shoestring budget because we just don't have the money right now. But I think that as we grow and as we have more money to do marketing and do different advertising, branding, and like get the word out there and get in different places, I think we will continue to grow. But I don't really. I've never needed motivation. Like, this is like my passion, as you can see. Like, I'm pretty pumped out about it. My kids, like, someone comes over to talk with Daily Giving, like, they roll their eyes, like they don't want to hear the story one more time, like, because I mean, my kids would, I'll say, Eitan, why don't you tell them about Daily Giving, because he could give my pitch as well as I can. So I don't know, I don't need any motivation. I feel like this is what I was put in the world to do, to get this, to push, to drive it. I've got, just to get it to where we want to go. Our first goal was to get 100,000 Jews to sign up for $1 a day, and I'll start getting happy as we approach that number.
All right, definitely inspiring. And so now we're going to move on to another segment we have here on the MoPod called the MoPod Lightning Round, where
Sure.
I'm just going to fire off some quick questions and you tell me the first thing that comes to your head. You ready?
Yeah.
Should you give money to every homeless person you see?
Yes.
How many times a year should someone go to the chiropractor?
Depends on the person.
What are you most looking forward to seeing at the aquarium?
Penguins.
If you could have lunch with any fictional character in history, who would it be?
Oh, nothing's coming to mind.
Okay, yeah, it's a tough question. I got you there. What is the difference between a monument, a statue, and a tower?
Monument, a statue, and a tower. Um, One represents something, a legacy of someone, some actual a purpose. And I think a tower, and what was it? A tower, what was the other one?
Well, it was monument, statue, tower.
I guess two. So monument and statue, I would say they're similar, and a tower could be anything.
Yeah, I feel like a monument is kind of like a statue tower, like the
Right.
combination of a statue and a tower. Okay,
but there's some purpose behind it.
for sure. What is your favorite seltzer flavor?
Black cherry.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Donut, for coming on the MoPod. Anything else you want our listeners to know before we sign off?
I don't even know if I said the website, so just in case, it's dailygiving.org. I will tell you that our happiness rate of daily givers is sky high. And so I hope I haven't sold it too much, but at the end of the day, I think if you take a minute now and join, we can't hit your credit card every day for $1. I forgot to clarify that. The transaction fee would be too high. So even though we give your money away every single day, we're your shaliach, we're your messenger. Every day, I literally from my phone give out the money to the different organization, and you get the email. You sign up for two options. You can sign up for a monthly option or an annual option. Okay, so it's $32.60 a month. So I urge you sign up for a month and see if you like it. You're gonna like it, and it's gonna make you feel good. And you're gonna come home. You're gonna read that email, and even if you're having a bad day, it's gonna cheer you up, and you're gonna see how great it is to do something together. I mean, what more could Hashem want than his children coming together to give to our brothers and sisters who are less fortunate?
For sure. And once we end the Zoom call, I will be going to sign up because you got to do it right away. Otherwise, you're not going to do it.
Thank
And
you,
I'm just gonna teach you my catchphrase because you could use it as well. I give you permission. I always end these podcasts with the phrase "pump the volume." That is a saying that I use all the time to try to get people to sign up for MoDate. But if you want to change it up a little, if you want to say like "pump up the volume" or something like that, you're definitely welcome to do that.
Love it. Listen, I wish you lots of success both in your marriage, your podcast, and your career, and hope to see you getting bigger and bigger.
Thank you, sir. Pump the volume.